Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I make videos about cameras, photography, and all that good stuff. Today we are going to do a review on the 7Artisans 35mm f 0.95 manual lens. This thing is crazy cool. Let's get into it. So first of all, big shout out to 7Artisans for sending me this lens, but as you guys know, with all of my reviews, I can say what I want about whatever I want because this is my channel. But 7Artisans, really cool company. Happy to work with them. And yeah, they never tell me what to say. So let's talk about the box, build quality really quickly, and then get into example photos. So the box has the lens elements on the side here, which is pretty cool. I'm not into that detail about lenses and things like that, but if you wanted to know what the lens elements are, they're right there on the box. And then it slides up like so. Pretty basic stuff on the inside. There is a little manual and then some foam, and then the lens goes in here. Some other useful stuff. It says on the box here, it is an APS-C designed lens. So it is made for cameras like the Sony a6100, which I'm filming on right now, or the a6000, which I shot all of the example photos in this video with that camera. You can also put it on a full frame camera like a Sony a7S III if you want, but there's going to be a vignette around the edges, so it is really designed for the APS-C lineup, but you can use it on any Sony E-mount camera. They also make it for other mounts like the Fuji mount, Canon EF-M, Micro Four Thirds, a bunch of different mounts. Okay, so let's actually talk about this bad boy right here. This is the actual lens, and hopefully I got some juicy B-roll to also show you just how good this thing looks. There's really minimal things that I don't like about this lens, so I'm just gonna go out and say this is one of my favorite manual lenses that I've ever tested, worked with, shot with. It is just really fun to use. It's about $250 US on Amazon. Pretty simple design. It feels pretty much all metal. I mean, it has a plastic rear lens cap, but the front lens cap is actually metal. And it's a pretty unique design on the front here, not as far as the labeling and things like that, but how it works. It just slides off. It's almost like perfectly engineered to where it can just, you know, just going like that. And I think that is pretty cool. I mean, as you can see right here, it is not going anywhere. The rear lens cap is a 7Artisans one, which is always nice when a company has their own. And then here is the front lens element, and you will see just how wide open that thing can get. I mean, this has a big hunk of glass inside of this metal encasing, and it's just really nice. They have the red letter kind of etching on the different letterings on there, and yeah, just really nice build quality. Here is the lens extending inwards and outwards when you're using the focus ring, which by the way is a pleasure to use, and it is just super smooth. Really enjoy using it. As far as the aperture ring, it is declicked. The only thing I don't like about it is that there is no grip here, so there's grip about 75% around it, so really you kind of have to hold the aperture ring on either side here, and then you can turn it nice and easy. It just would have been nice to have the grip all the way around the aperture ring, but it's not a big complaint. It looks like it's perfectly designed for this camera. I love when lenses kind of just blend right in with the Sony bodies and everything like that. The minimum focusing distance is 0.37 meters, and then the filter thread size for the front is 52 millimeters. The back of the lens is kind of interesting. It's like a slate or gunmetal gray, whereas like the Sony on this side is a silver, which is really the standard kind of, but 7Artisans went the little extra mile with the style points on the back. Okay, that's enough about the box, tech specs, and what this thing looks like. Let's dive into some example photos, and as always guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Cue the music. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed those photos. It's been very cold out here in Pennsylvania, so I didn't get to all of the places I wanted to with this thing, but I had a lot of fun with it. So overall, what are my thoughts on this thing? I love it. As with other prime manual lenses that I reviewed that are really, really fast, this being the fastest of the bunch, it is definitely a challenge to get all of your shots in focus. It's not going to happen. If you're shooting wide open at 0.95, you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve on just how shallow that depth of field is. The depth of field is, of course, glorious at, f.95, and it is really cool to kind of experiment with that. It is definitely nice to finally get my hands on a lens that is this fast. It's not going to break your bank account. I mean, this is a manual focus lens, so you would expect it to be, cheaper than other autofocus lenses that are kind of similar in the same vein. Something to consider with the 7Artisans 35.95 is that it is very, very heavy. So if you want a light, lens for street photography or, everyday travel photography, something like that, the Sony 35mm f1.8 is like half the weight of this thing. I think it's even less than half the weight of the 7Artisans 35. So even just holding it right here with like my two fingers, I'm like scared I'm gonna drop this thing because that's how heavy it is. You're gonna notice a weight difference from your kit lens or even a lens that's similar to it, like the Sony 35 f1.8. And just like sticking with the weight comparison, the Sony 35mm f1.8 is pretty much double the price of this lens. This is $250. The Sony 35 f1.8, which is, it's a slower lens, is around $450 US. So if you want a faster lens, but, a manual one, you could go with the 7Artisans rather than the Sony. Now, manual focus isn't for everybody, but I would highly recommend this lens even to somewhat beginners if you're really just trying to experiment with depth of field and things like that, but you don't have $500 laying around. You can get this half the price. As far as things wrong with it, there's really not much wrong with it. Definitely don't expect the sharpest quality images in the world at 0.95. It does get sharper as you lower the aperture, but it's really a unique kind of look to shoot so wide open at 0.95 and really just have fun with it. I mean, you may not get the sharpest photos in the world or the best image quality from corner to corner, but it is fun. I will mention though that the flaring on this lens is pretty crazy, especially down at 0.95. This is something that you should probably expect with a lot of different, Chinese lens manufacturers and things like that do these cheaper manual lenses. So, just something to be aware of. Just expect a little bit of imperfections in regards to chromatic aberration and some flaring. It's just kind of part of this manual lens realm. When I do these manual lens reviews, I really think about how much the lens costs and then the image quality and then really other things compared to it. And I feel like this lens kind of is on an island on its own with how much it costs and then what it's really delivering. It's giving you great low light ability with f.95. You also can just completely obliterate the background. 35 millimeters with this type of aperture is really fun. In my opinion, that's a little more of a subjective thing, but overall, and then the build quality, like just how 7Artisans goes about building their lenses, the packaging is nice, and then all the little details on the lens, the black, rear element, things like that. Just overall, their lenses scream quality, and this lens is no different than other 7Artisan lenses that I've tested. If you guys are interested in picking up this lens, I have affiliate links down in the description, but you guys know the drill. Find the gear where it's cheapest for you. And of course, I want to know what you guys think of this crazy 0.95 aperture lens. Do you guys have this lens? Were you thinking about getting it? Did you even know that this type of thing existed? That about wraps up this lens review on the 7Artisans 35mm 0.95 aperture lens. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And, as always, I will see you guys in the next episode. Later.